Hi, Chris.
Hey,
Thank
Danny.
you. Thank you for being a part of my Awaken Your Voice 7-week program. You're a performing artist in Melbourne. And so could you tell me a little bit about how this course changed your life in terms of your singing, your music, your creating, your performing? And how that's affected your ability to do that and your confidence in that.
Yeah, so first of all, it's good to be here, and yeah, it was a really good experience going through the course with you. I think you're definitely on the right track with, coaching musicians, and I feel very happy to be one of those musicians. Um, the course, I mean, meeting you and working with you, and being in the course, it definitely has had a good impact on me. I think you said the word confidence. I mean, that's a big one. I think I've sort of found more confidence in myself as a performer, as a singer and a guitar player too. Like I feel like I'm sort of listening to myself more clearly, and probably expressing my truth, what's actually, what I'm feeling and things like that. Sort of that's coming through maybe more easily. So that's probably the first thing I would say. I think there's probably I think when I met you earlier in the year, I was at a bit of a stage where I'd lost live music for a long time, as a lot of us had, and I was sort of just getting myself out there again. And I know that I was having things like anxiety and kind of self-doubt, and I think I'm in a completely or a very different place now, where those sort of voices are quieter. They've become more background, and the more powerful voice is the one that's saying, hey, you've got something that is good to perform. And I'm sort of like tuning into that better, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm.
So you said that since the course ended, like your life's been super busy and things have taken quite a turn.
Mm.
So do you think that something kind of unlocked for you, like something that it's directly related to the work you did on yourself in this course, or do can you share anything about that? Or
Yeah, I mean, there's been times where I've felt over the years, I've felt like I'm in my own world a bit with music. And, there's been pros and cons. Like, I think I've written a lot of music, and that's been a pro. But maybe one of the cons is I've found loneliness at times. Like, oh, who do I relate to that's a musician that's a bit like me? And when I met you and some of the other people in the group, I thought, oh, this is sort of, these people are a bit like me. They're open to talking about their journey beyond just what they're doing with their music, but there's that personal aspect too. And I think those two pieces, like, are sort of connected, obviously, and well, maybe not obviously for everyone, but they are. And that was something you've encouraged me to sort of be with, and also the other people. And it felt like that community, I'd found that community. And I think it's nice to have that support. So I've felt a lot of support this year, and that has definitely helped me get myself out there more.
Awesome. So I think something that comes to mind there for me is something that I've learned more recently too, and it's that power of being witnessed in your vulnerability and in your stuff, and yes, that's what we're always doing on stage. We're putting ourselves out there in a big way, and we are very open and very vulnerable. And if we're good musicians, and doing our job well, then we have to be as open and vulnerable as possible so that we can connect with our audience. And I guess if there are, like you said, you were sometimes left alone with the voices in your head that were perhaps voices that were holding you back, or limiting what you thought you could do. And I'm just wondering if you can speak a bit more to that, about, you know, how powerful it was to be witnessed and to be able to share in a safe environment with the group, and you know how that's now affected your voice, your actual voice, and your, you know, your life in general.
Yeah, I will talk about that. It's a big question, but I'll try to sort of answer that as best I can. Um, yeah, I think I've definitely had, you know, my ups and downs over the years as a musician and a performing artist. I've been active in the scene, and sometimes I've taken a break from the scene and kind of worked on my mental health. I was diagnosed with OCD a few years ago, and sometimes I would get really obsessive and really I get caught up in thought patterns that weren't very helpful, and they would tend to come into my life around, you know, music and getting on stage, and you know, I've needed support over the years to help me work through things to get to a better place. And I think, you know, the course, for example, it provided a space, you know, a space where we could, you know, show what's really going on with each other, and you know where we've come from, you know, who we are as people, and I think all of that ties into like a healthier, you know, sort of mindset. And again, knowing that we're all musicians, but we're also people, and you know, we've all got our own journeys, and yeah, it was really helpful to be able to listen to other people's journeys and also share, you know, my experiences, and like, yeah, feel like that brought us together, you know, as a group, and it really created this like acceptance with each other, and it's a great, I guess, springboard to sort of have another crack at live music in 2021 and see where it takes me. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it's, I think it's it's probably quite a common thing out there that a lot of people have found it hard to get back out there, you know, whether it's a confidence thing or just even a motivational thing. You know, the stress and worry about booking gigs and then they're all cancelled and again potentially, and you know, there's so much unknown still out there. And I guess, yeah, how's it felt for you now being a performer on stage? Now I know you've shared with me before that your voice felt has literally physically been functioning differently. So if you
Mm.
share about some of that, but also um, how you're feeling about putting yourself out there in a larger way as an artist now.
Yeah, great question. I think I've needed to let myself build up that momentum, and as you said, you know, the live industry is just sort of getting going again, I suppose. And I know that I really stopped last year because I had to, and I've needed to pace myself a bit. So yeah, things are getting busier, and I need to go. Yeah, needed to pace myself. That's one thing. So and the other thing is, yeah, you mentioned yeah, with my voice, I think I've been singing a lot of the same songs for many years, and I think they get to a point where they can get stale. And I think I after doing the course with you, I started to maybe find new places in my voice and new songs and these are songs that I've loved for a long time, like a lot of 80s rock stuff, and a lot of it's in a higher register than I'm normally singing in. And I just suddenly had these beliefs that, oh, you know, like I can hit these notes now, and it doesn't feel really uncomfortable, and you know, maybe I can build my voice, like rebuild it, and or take it into a new stage as well. And so I'm kind of feeling maybe a bit more excitement, like I know what music I want to bring into my show now. Um, because I think coming out of COVID, I was just like, I've just got to do the music that, you know, is going to work, because, you know, just getting a gig is something, so I've just got to do the music that is safe both for me and, do what people are expecting me to do, basically. But now that it's been a few months, I can sort of go, okay, I know I can do that, and what else can I do? And I think that comes back to what I was saying before about, the OCD thing and the anxious mind. I think that's I think that that's also a sign of creativity, because it's just needs to be redirected into something that is like, okay, what's next? Like, I need to honor that side of me that's always wanting to like keep learning and keep growing and developing. And I think, having some fresh music coming in. Also, one thing I wanted to add is, the original music. Like, I've literally written like over 100 songs over the years, but a lot of people wouldn't know, because I suppose I haven't necessarily put them out there as much as, say, the cover songs. And I think at the moment I'm getting like a lot of inspiration to do that now that I've started sort of getting out there this year, and I've got a band that is sort of, coming together with that as well. And that's giving me a lot of excitement. So I think that's probably the word. Like, where is the excitement? Like, follow that lead, because that can open up sort of what music is right. What music is right for me.
Yeah. And, just with you saying that, I'm taken back to my conversations with you before you signed up for the course, where I remember now that you were saying, it was just so important for you to find your niche, or to be able to stand up and sing the material or perform the material that you really wanted to. And yet, so something was stopping you. Something was literally telling you that wasn't possible. So you're telling me now that you're really just feeling quite open to exploring that? That's exciting.
Absolutely. I think
Okay.
I've just got a bit more purpose in myself as a singer, as well as a guitar player. I mean, I grew up wanting to play guitar, and that's my first love, and I love that. And I've actually got some instrumental music on guitar, which I'm playing with the band. And I also doubted that, because I'm like, who goes and sees instrumental rock? Like, I mean, I loved people like Joe Satriani and Eddie Van Halen, and guys like that. That made me want to play music, listening to that. And I've written a lot of instrumentals, which I put out during the lockdown last year. But I thought, maybe never get to play them with the band, because it's instrumental rock, and is there a market for that? And it's just like, I stopped worrying about, how many people are gonna, like, I don't know. But what I do know is that I just need to follow the inspiration. And when I started playing those songs with the band just in the last week, like, it just took me into a new place of excitement. And I was able to put down some of the cover songs we'd been playing a lot, and just try something different. And I think the word for that is trust. Like, just having more trust in myself, that I can try those different things that take me out of the box a bit more. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you're finding your flow. It's awesome. I guess, a big part of the course is not just being able to have the confidence or courage or the skills to be able to fully express yourself, but what Awaken Your Voice really means for me is, to be fully expressed is to be following your heart's desire and what you really want. And what I learned is that when you're not following that and honoring that in yourself, you're not really being who you want to be, or expressing yourself in the way you want to be expressed, or being seen how you want to be seen, then that's painful. It actually that's what creates the pain, the struggle, the stress, the anxiety, the sort of feeling like something's missing, or, I'm feeling unfulfilled. And that's at the essence of what the work is about. It's about being able to listen to that inner voice, which is calling, saying, there's something calling, but I can't sometimes put my finger on it, what it is, or I can't understand why I can't break through the ceiling, to get to where I want to go. And so I love what you said there, because what we then talk about is following the joy, you know, following, having trust and having faith and following what brings you joy. And ultimately, when we can tell ourselves so many times that that's just dangerous, or it's not safe, or it's not going to work, you know, but when we then step into it, you realize how much more enjoyable your life is, and your artistry is. And that's at the essence of the work. And you know, I'm really, it's just really awesome to hear you expressing that that's what's happened for you, because it's, you know, it's that is what's at the essence of it, you know. And even though you say your voice is working, you know, so much better, you're able to hit notes you couldn't hit before, but at the heart of it, it's like I'm stepping into who I really am and what I really want, and that's making my life better. That's making, you know, the joy come into my life. And then, you know, it opens up doors. Like, it starts to put an energy out there about, you know, attracting into your life what you actually really want. Because the more you step into what you want, the more you are receptive to receiving what you want in life. So have you experienced anything like that, where you've kind of gone, whoa, I never saw that coming, you know, some doors have opened, or some opportunities have happened that you know, that you didn't think, or perhaps weren't happening before? Has there been anything like that?
Yeah, I think, and I might be repeating myself. Apologies if I am, but I think, yeah, the breakthrough with my voice and singing the '80s rock sort of
Yeah.
stuff. I think that's also going to translate into some of my originals, you know, because maybe one of the reasons why I didn't often perform some of my originals is, like, maybe I didn't think my voice was shining in all of them, but I think, you know, yeah, it's coming into a new place. The other thing I mentioned was just like, yeah, giving myself a chance with some of those instrumentals and I know that it just brought this new energy into the band, and you know, I think, yeah, that sort of level of trust just to try those things. I've definitely, yeah, that's definitely, you know, given me, you know, the belief I think I need to sort of, to, you know, because it's not, you would know, I mean, it's not the easiest industry, and it's not
Yeah.
for the faint of heart,
Not
and
at all.
and therefore we really need to listen to our heart. And I think, I know that I haven't always done that. You know, I mean, just to give you a real quick insight into that, I mean, I think I grew up in a very intellectualized kind of role in the world. And I mean, I was an engineer for years, you know. I think I did a lot of very sort of intellectual type subjects at school. I did an engineering degree. I worked in that field for a while. And it wasn't until I discovered songwriting that I thought, oh, you know, maybe there's something to follow there. And thankfully I followed that sort of, that calling. But it's taken me time to an experience to sort of, yeah, come out of my head and that intellectual world that I've grown up in, and yeah, as you mentioned, like, come into my heart and my body, and actually be paying attention and listening, and finding my real expression by connecting there. And that's brought me back around to maybe having that trust of my original music a bit more. Yeah. And
Yeah. That's,
yeah.
that's awesome. So yeah, so I guess it's ignited a new level of creativity for you, or something new that, you know, even into your future original songs. Or are you currently writing? You writing some new songs now?
I am, Danielle, and like, I definitely am, and sometimes they just sort of come to me now, you know. Like, I remember years ago, I'd literally be trying to write songs, like, but now it's, you know, I've worked on that a lot, so I suppose, you know, I'm starting to sort of see the fruits of you know, hard work. I mean, that's obviously important too. And but I think things that you mentioned, they're sort of unlocking a bit more. I think, like, I'm just sort of getting out of my way a bit more, and like, yeah, letting it sort of be seen and heard, and it's a good feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I think we all want to find where we belong, and you know, where we shine and where we thrive, and you know, honoring who we are and what we want, is so crucial. And then really feeling and stepping into where, you know, you feel safe and comfortable being seen and heard, you know, whatever that is, whether that's in your, you know, your personal life, your relationships, your artistry, or your career and work, being seen and being heard, and in the way that you want, you know. And that's not always possible for everybody. You know, we're often hiding behind lives that we should live, you know, pleasing other people, you know, to live the life that we culturally we're taught to live, and what we've been brought up to believe would be the right path for us. And I think so many people, you know, struggle out there just because they're not really living, you know, in the true path of what they want to do with their lives, or you know, how they want to be seen in their relationships or be heard in their relationships. So how's that affected your personal, you know, life? You know, without, you don't have to, you know, get too personal, but you know, just in the spirit of what I just said, you know, have you noticed that being seen and heard has become easier, you know, with people, or even?
Absolutely. I think I find myself able to be more present with the people in my life, you know, just be able to, I think because I'm listening to myself better, I'm also listening to others better. And I also, again, we were talking about being in our head, you know, I, I'm probably, you know, I can find the words, I think, more easily now, without getting into, like, maybe I used to get into a lot of arguments with people, and you know, conflicts with people, and there's probably a lot more, you know, ego in the relationships that, and probably you mentioned it too, like hiding, you know, like not showing all of who we are, you know. And I think now, like, there's not really, there's not so much hiding, there's more, you know, like finding again, to use that word trust, but just trusting, hey, you know, this, I don't know how this is all gonna, you know, unfold, but this is something I need to say. And um yeah, and just if, and then, yeah, just being open to, like, the unknown as well. Like, I don't know where I'm going with everyone in my life, I mean, but I can trust that, you know, I can show them who I am, and it will be okay. It will be okay. And you know, that's how I'm finding my way, and the right people come along for the ride, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's so
mm,
powerful when you start to see that play out in your life. You know, I speak personally, you know, I share very openly with the course that, you know, part of the reason why this Awaken Your Voice was created was, you know, because in so many ways I was holding myself back as a performer, but also I realized in my personal life I was holding myself back in terms of expressing, you know, what I wanted. You know, I would always go along with what everyone else wanted to do, or you know, go try to ensure that everyone else was, you know, feeling pleased with what was going on or the choices we were making. And I would succumb to that. I would, you know, think that that was the right choice to make. And you know, until I realized, you know, it was making me feel so frustrated and angry, and I couldn't even figure out why I was feeling that way. And it wasn't until I had this epiphany and realized there were so many little moments in my life where I realized I was not speaking up for myself. I wasn't showing up in my own life. And then when I was able to just get that awareness, it shifted everything for me. And it shifted everything personally, but professionally as well. And of course, artistically. And and now there's this newfound confidence to just to be who I am and not have to hide anymore, you know, not have to worry about the consequences anymore, of just owning what I want and being okay, like you said, with, well, whatever happens happens, you know. And that shifting on that level was, you know, a big thing for me too. So thank you for sharing, you know, your journey there as well. So
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, well, you know, we're all going through it, you know, we're all experiencing these things in life, and we think that those little moments aren't important, but they are so important to the way we are living our lives, and the level of happiness and fulfillment that we have. And it's so important just for our well-being and our health, that we are honoring that and speaking what we really want to speak, you know, or expressing what needs to be expressed from us, even if it's risky or it risks hurting other people, or, you know, but sometimes that's what's needed. And that the truth is often, well, is always, in what I've come to realize, is always so much more powerful than than hiding and, you know, not putting your truth out there. So I just wondered which part of the course you enjoyed the most. Like, we do a lot of exercises and, you know, learning how to be really present in conversation, and looking into the unknown, and you know, being embodied in your body versus, you know, listening to the voices in your head. And we do some ego work, heart's desire work, emotions, feeling into emotions, and being able to become more aware of the emotions that drive us. So what were the highlights for you, or what had the most impact for you?
I think, yeah, I think, yeah, I think the emotions was a big one, and I think that sort of gave me some more clarity on maybe some emotions that I hadn't sort of honored in some of my music as well. And actually, something that was coming up for me listening to you share then was this. I feel this is important for me to say, but the word therapy, and healing, and just how much of that has come through music. And I obviously talked about, you know, growing up sort of intellectualizing everything. And I did that with music in a lot of ways too. And, you know, I was thinking about, how do I do this? And, you know, it was a technical approach, and I've sort of come away from that. You know, that's still important, but it's not like the main focus, if you like. And I think, yeah, you sort of, the course validated a lot of things that I was maybe starting to get a handle on, and like the emotions, for example. And I know that has been a really, I know that music plays that part in my life where it does bring me into my emotions, and then I can show up and just be with people in a better way, because I've looked after myself with music, you know. And it is about taking care of myself, and music is part of that. So yeah, I think the course just validated a lot of things, that perhaps, you know, I was starting to you know, touch upon, but it gave me that validation of like, yeah, you know, there is something to this. And so yeah, I would say, you know, it's great because it is quite comprehensive, and it covers a few of those areas you mentioned, and they are all kind of valid in our journey, because it's not just about the way we're schooled when we grow up, which is like, hey, you need to learn music theory and you need to learn technique,
Yeah.
And fortunately I've grown beyond, you know, beyond just relying on that, because that's only, you know, just a part of the you know, what music can offer. And music can really offer us that relationship with self, and of course, as we cultivate that and nurture that, and really trust listening to what the music that is really speaking to us and wants to come through us, you know, I just think we can show up with other people in you know, amazing ways. And like, we can really be ourselves. If we can be ourselves with our music, we can be ourselves with people, and probably vice versa. Yeah, so
Beautifully said, Chris. Yeah, it's it's interesting because I do find that that can be sometimes be a more challenging part of the course. Like it surprises me how many people are quite sometimes quite afraid or just a little resistant to just feeling their feelings, and that's something that I think is quite common with people, but we haven't realized that we're not actually allowing ourselves to feel, just to feel what's in our heart, to feel what's going on in our lives, to just bring acceptance to that. And when you can't allow yourself to feel, then I personally believe then you're missing out on the whole point of singing, because the whole point of and music is sharing the emotional journey is far more important than hitting the notes well and having the greatest vocal technique in the world. And I just, like, I have shared this with you even many times before, and as you just expressed, it's such a shame that music education has gone that way, where we're just getting people caught in their heads with technique, and in musicianship and singing, rather than just getting ourselves and our minds out of the way, and just being able to be free in our expression. And like what I've shared with you before too, is that I've seen that that's actually helped the voice function so much better. It I teach very, very little vocal technique in my classes these days, compared to what I used to. And I'm getting even better results because I'm just realizing that if people can allow themselves to be open and vulnerable and feel, and then feel that it's okay to express those feelings, then something happens with the voice where it just goes into this amazing alignment, and everything just functions, in this perfect way that no vocal technique that I could have taught them could actually achieve. And so it's that's been such a wonderful thing for me in my coaching, and seeing the results in my students too. So yeah, thank you for bringing that point up. And and feeling those feelings is something that we have to learn to do, and the good ones and the bad ones, and to allow them energetically to really move through the body. Otherwise we stay stuck. So thank you. Well, it's just been wonderful connecting with you, and having you a part of this journey, and for you being on the course with the group. And I guess yeah, just in closing, if you were to sum up what Awaken Your Voice means for you, or what the course has done for you, what would you say to people out there, if you could share and sum up what you think it is and what it's done for you?
Yeah, I think I want to say that there is an element of stepping into the unknown, and to really become who we are, and who who we really are. We need to do that because we're constantly discovering who we are too. And I think your course provides that, like a framework for us to just discover who we are as artists, and connect on a personal level too, which is all part of bringing out our best artists forward. And I think it's also, Danielle, I think it's also a really important time in the world, because I mean, in the last year we've all stepped into the unknown, whether we've liked it or not. And I think there's a lesson in that, which is we all need to be able to do that to, I think, be our best. And I think that's where your course, it takes off from the traditional ways of learning music, which is, having to know everything. Like, oh, we've got to know all this theory, we've got to know all this technique, and then we've got to just recreate it that way. And it's all about knowing. Well, what your course does is it helps us, give ourselves permission to come into the unknown. And that's the way to really come into our best as artists and people, I believe. So I think it's a really important for anyone that really wants to really thrive and shine, and really be you know, tap into their potential as a musician, and find, you mentioned the word joy, you know, find the joy in that, because it's a liberating and just a joyful thing, and you really, you know, are doing a great job, you know, guiding people with that. So yeah, so I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that, and for sharing, you know, all those wonderful comments today, and sharing your journey with us, and yeah, how can people find your music?
Yeah, so well, actually, I'm going under an artist name, Chris Vincent, and you can find me at facebook.com/Chris Vincent Musician. So I'm constantly, you know, posting up, you know, some of my original music and also where I'm doing my gigs. So would be awesome to connect with people there, and yeah, just finally, Danielle, yeah, thanks again for, you know, offering the course to me, and just, you know, coming into my life, and really, yeah, really helping me a lot, and it's made my life better, and I really appreciate it. And it was a blast, you know, sharing all those experiences with you and the others. So
Thank you, Chris. And it's been a blessing to have you come into my life too, and you know, we met, you know, like you said, earlier in the year, and it was right at that time where you were feeling, you know, that big shift happen, and it was lovely that we even had a chance to perform, you know, together, and you know, it just all happened, and yeah, and you know, just think sometimes things are meant to be, and you know, I think you listened to your heart, and you know, you were brave. You stepped into the unknown and said, you know, Danielle, I don't know where this is going to go, but I just feel, you know, that I'm meant to do this, or something along those lines. And I hope I'm not putting words into your mouth, but you know, I remember you saying that, and it is like you said, it's sort of stepping into the unknown and going, okay, you know, but I'm following my heart and feeling like something is right about this. And when we honor that, great things happen. Great things happen.
Yeah, well said. That's yeah, it's been a really cool way to, you know, kick off 2021, and yeah, it's like I see, you know, there's lots to be, yeah, like excited about, and I can see things are going great with your work, and I'm glad to see that, and like I said, you've supported me to you know, get to a good place with my work too. So yeah, excited where we're both going, and yeah.
Awesome, wonderful. Thanks, Chris, so much for sharing with us today, and we'll hope to see you on the stage really soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Danielle.
Thanks.
I'll catch you.
Thanks.
See ya.